between 30 and 50. I'm not really sure why they would hope that. Maybe it was just because that amount of coke would make some really crazy pigs?
Dude, like 20K, that's like a full brick. So
apparently Matty G's a little bit better on the street value.
Oh. I mean, I don't know how much that is.
All I could think of was like coke and pig, and thought of like some type of, coke roasted pig. And I was just like, oh no, this is actually about cocaine. Yeah. Yep.
You go into the forest, one's built a house of sticks, one's built a house of stone.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's my news for today. Right on. Well, Kim, let's get to you.
Sure, man, that was amazing.
You're never going to know what we're going to come up with.
When I heard the word shaving as opposed to shaving, I mean, there's some things about being a hearing damaged rock guitar player that it's actually quite fun.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you made the story a little bit better. Thank you.
I was going to say, if you ever walked into a Walmart, I'd be amazed at the things you hear.
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about all the announcements and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the nonstop barrage. Yeah.
I would say, after all the years of rocking out, is there just like a constant background amplifier, like a hum that's happening there?
It's called tinnitus,
yep.
Or whatever, however you want to. Yep.
Yeah.
I've had it for years. Yeah. And generally it's as loud as any conversation that I'm with. Like, so if I'm one-on-one with you, which I am right now, I'm one-on-two, but, if we were in a room together, that hissing, sort of a hum way up top, it'd be as loud as what we're talking.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amplified when you do like Tylenol and stuff like that. If you're trying to take pain medication. So they just never really they've never figured out how to make it go away. And basically there is no tone. Like, you're hearing a really high pitched frequency, but there's no frequency happening. It's just your brain perceiving that.
Okay.
Which is kind of odd.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always wondered if I'd had a bit of tinnitus, because there's always this kind of sharp little hum sound that's happening, but I don't know. It could be definitely many other things that have been happening.
Could be a critter stuck in your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Crawled in last night.
Let me tell you.
Crawled in at night when you go to bed.
I've got some scary campfire stories about that, but that's for another day.
All right.
So I got to tell you, I mean, I remember when I say, like, you are a rock legend, I truly mean that, because I mean, I grew up through that whole MTV generation. I remember your videos. I remember the iconic OPP hat that you'd wear. It's really funny because, when I was talking to some of my American friends, they're like, "Oh, I'm not really familiar with Kim Mitchell," and I was just like, "Oh, really? Go for a soda." Patio Lanterns was like, "Oh my God, that guy, yeah." So
right, yeah.
So it's sometimes how like maybe names don't always transfer across, but in your particular case, because being a rock star, that your music precedes you, and do you find that often that happens, or do you find that in your day that people know you for you are?
Well, I rarely get recognized even anymore, because a long time ago I shaved my head, and so the OPP hat sort of became a brand trademark thing, I guess. And when you were talking about that hat, it's kind of funny, because a buddy of mine who's an engineer and a recording engineer, and he used to be a hairdresser, he made me an OPP hat, I'd say a few months back.
Oh.
With really long hair in it.
Oh, really?
And, so it was my look. So I put the hat on, and just for a laugh, he goes, it was a swanky part of Toronto called Yorkville.
Yep.
And we decided to go walking. We just met for a lunch, and he says, "Hey, I got your hat too. Come on, let's meet in Yorkville for lunch." Because it's kind of a halfway point where he lives and I live. So he brings his hat, and he goes, "Let's put it on, go walk around the block once." And I swear, I may get recognized in my own city here maybe once a week or something like that. It literally, in the space of 10 minutes, you see people at on patio and stuff going, "Hey, that's Kim Mitchell." Like, I haven't seen him in ages. Like, what's been happening? God, that when people identify your look and then you don't have that look, the reactions I've had over the years, which has been, fairly reasonable, to like, what happened to you? Like, even stuff like that.
Yeah.
Same thing that happened. Anyway, what was the question?
That's amazing. Well, it was just more about, that iconic, look and whether or not after all these years, people would recognize. So you pretty much answered it in that. But,
man, I never look at myself when people say, an iconic, whatever, they're descriptive. I never ever consider myself any of that. I'm just a guitar player with his head down, trying to write some songs and play some guitar. And I don't have an ego wall in my room. I don't have gold records up, platinum records up.
Do you hide the Juno Awards, or are they at least on a mantle somewhere?
No, I don't. Well, I didn't hide them, but I didn't put them up the last time I moved, and went over to my son's house a while back, and he had one on his mantle. I went, "Where'd you get that?" He goes, "Oh, it's down in storage." So do you mind if I have it? And all the gold. Here's a good one. All the gold records and platinum records I had, I literally gave them away to charity auctions, because people over the years they want something from, I guess, people that are known in the business, or actors or dancers. Like, have you got something you could give us for a charity auction? So I would give them a gold record or a platinum record.
Holy shit,
and
man.
so it was all just to raise money. So check this out. 5-6 years ago, something like that, I'm at a garage sale in my neighborhood, and I see one of my gold records, like, for $5.
Oh my God!
Just sitting out with old rusty old milk cans and old silverware. There's an old gold Kim Mitchell.
You're
gold
like, oh no, it's
there.
come full circle.
And the person I was with said, "Go tell him." And I'm like, "No, I'm too embarrassed. I would never go. Hey, can I buy my record back? I'll give you $2.50 for it or something." Because all I could think was like, well, I'm not going to hang it up. So.
Oh my God. You know what? I've always I've seen some of those auctions sometimes, and I see the platinum records and the gold records, and they're all in frames with signatures and everything like that. And I've always thought, it'd be really funny if I could get my hands on one of those and then just put it on like a coffee table, and you put your drink on it. And then people are like, that's the weirdest looking coaster. It's like, oh, this is a gold record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Foo Fighters double platinum.
No big deal.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think that'd be a great, and if anything, a great conversation piece, right? I mean, it'd be a perfect start, but oh my God, I'd love to go by that garage sale and just be like, hey, do you even know what you had here?
No, it's just it's just a normal couple, married couple just selling the house. I guess I could have just said, well, hey, where did you work? what was the charity auction? Do you remember?
Did this ever leave the auction?
Yeah. You were running it and you didn't sell it. Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, it's just sitting out in a garage sale like it's a chocolate covered coin.
Exactly. Hey, what did you get for it? $5.
Right.
The guy that won the auction has just got a gold colored piece of cardboard.
Oh, that's man. Crazy. Oh,
we're a lot of crazy stuff happening.
Hey man, that's awesome though. No ego there. That's awesome.
No,
that's amazing.
No. Had a lot of weird stuff happen. Kind of crazy stuff. Joe Walsh, you know who Joe Walsh is?
Yep.
The Eagles.
Yep.
Guitar player. Yeah. He wanted to record my Rockland album. Do you want me to talk, or do you want you guys got?
No, go.
No,
you know what?
Yeah, no,
even being able to hear stories is so much better than asking questions.
All right. So anyway, you're going to do your Rockland album on your solo career, and you're sitting around at home. You're married at the time, and the phone rings, and your wife answers the phone, and you can kind of hear her. She's, when someone's looking at you like, who is this on the phone? She's got that look.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, just a minute. And she goes, there's a guy on the phone who sounds really weird. He wants to speak to you. I said, well, get his name. I don't want to just go. She says, okay. She goes, Joe Walsh. I'm like, Joe Walsh? The musician Joe Walsh? She goes, yes, the musician Joe Walsh. So I come on the phone, and I guess what happened was the label I was going to be on in the States, they asked him if he wanted to produce this album. And he heard some of the stuff, some of the demos, and went, yeah, sure, I'm interested in it. So I get on the phone, I go, hello. He goes, hey, Joe Walsh. He goes, you want to make a record? And I went, yeah, sure. He goes, okay, come on, Memphis, we'll make a record. And that's all I heard. He hung up after that. So, and then I get a call from the label. You get a call from the label, and they arrange a flight down to Memphis, to where he lived. And this is a crazy part of the story. You see Joe Walsh in the airport with a bud, and they're standing there. He's like, okay, hey man, nice to meet you. And he goes, yeah, we'll go to the studio and we'll listen to stuff. And he says, but we'll check into the Peabody Hotel, which is where the Peabody Ducks were, a very famous hotel. Mm-hmm. He checks me into the presidential suite. I've never had this kind of treatment before. Then we're off to the studio. But here's the weird part. We get out to the parking lot of the airport, and I'm staring at a yellow Volkswagen Beetle. And I'm like, okay. And I said, is this your bud's car? He goes, yeah, it's my bud's car. He goes, you sit in the middle. I'm like, sit in the middle? Of the middle, because he had guitars in the back. So there's Joe Walsh as a passenger, his bud as a driver, and I'm sitting in the middle while the dude's like shifting the gears and in this Volkswagen Beetle. It's like, have you ever tried that before? Sitting in the there is no middle of a Volkswagen Beetle. There just isn't. And yet I'm sitting here and I'm going,
squeezing your
straddling the gear shift.
Like, this is crazy. This is nuts. And then, so that's kind of the story. Went to the studio, and I think he was having some girlfriend troubles because he kept leaving the studio every 5 minutes and he'd come back. And this was going on for like a couple hours. I finally went, man, you seem really preoccupied. I'm going to take the next plane out. And he goes, yeah, okay. So spool ahead. Oh, a bunch of years. I'm doing a gig with Joe Walsh. I'm opening up for him. I walk up to him. He's at the catering table. Someone's sort of picking up a cookie and you're kind of staring down at the food at the catering table. I said, Joe, my name's Kim. I opened up for you. He goes, hey man. I said, do you ever remember you and I met? I said, it was one of those stories. Hey, do you remember me? And he goes, I said, I came to Memphis and you picked me up in this Volkswagen Beetle with your bud and put me in the Peabody Hotel. You're going to produce my album Rockland. I said, do you remember any of that? And he stops and he goes, no, sorry. I was totally crushed. But then he was so sweet. He looks at me and he goes, there are crazy times back then. And I said, yeah, you were having problems with a girlfriend or something. And then he goes, and then he was turned really nice and goes, so how are you anyway, man? I went, don't worry about it, man. We don't have to make small talk. I just wanted to know if you remember that. That's the end of my experience with Joe Walsh. But man, what a great guitar player, great artist. I've loved what he's done with his career.
Wow.
And his life sobered up. He was in bad shape like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of, in a nutshell, kind of explains probably what happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure. Now you had, I think it was it 2007 you'd opened up for Def Leppard?
Yep. I've opened up for Def Leppard. Yep.
Yeah. And in the Molson Amphitheater, like what is that like? I mean, you've got, you've got a bunch of fans in your own, and then you've got like all the Def Leppard fans who are showing up. I mean, that's got to be quite a nice.
It's exciting and terrifying, when you're opening up. Well, yeah, just in general, when you're opening up for a very large band as Def Leppard, it's somewhat nerve wracking. But you just have to go out and do your thing. What got me about them is they also were a band who really got into debauching for a while in their career, and they lost one of their members because of it. Mm-hmm. So backstage, I was really surprised to see there was a trainer. They were training boxing. There was a meditation room. There was just like hooked up like this zen-y backstage thing. You wouldn't know there was a rock band even there. It was like so crazy. But man, when when they went out, it just flicked the switch and it just sounded so good. They were quite sweet with us. Joe Elliott,